You call them myths to sleep better at night, but the ocean's fossil record is a criminal dossier that refuses to be redacted. The Kraken. You think of the Kraken as a pirate story, but historically, it is just a biological sniper that we finally caught on film. For centuries, sailors reported islands that sank. Not magic, but the hydrostatic displacement of the Architeuthis dukes. The giant squid doesn't hunt, it executes an ambush. Its tentacles are not arms, they are ballistic grappling hooks lined with chitinous serrations, delivering enough torque to snap a sperm whale's dorsal output. Science laughed until 2004, when Japanese researchers finally photographed one live in the deep. It wasn't a monster. It was just a shy invertebrate trying to avoid detection. Its eyes are the size of dinner plates. Biological camera lenses evolved to detect bioluminescence in the pitch black. It possesses a beak harder than granite, capable of shearing through underwater cables. It is the ultimate heavy lifter of the abyss, relying on stealth and jet propulsion. But while the Kraken is a soft-bodied squatter, hiding in the dark to protect its fragility, the next beast is built like an armored factory, the Leviathan. The Bible describes it as a dragon, but the fossil record classifies it as Leviathan melvillei, a hypercarnivorous whale that makes the great white shark look like a rounding error. This wasn't a grazer, it was a demolition crew. Modern sperm whales use suction to eat squid. The Leviathan used sheer mechanical force. With teeth measuring 36 centimeters, double the size of a T-Rex's, this animal didn't just bite, it sheared through bone like hydraulic cutters through sheet metal. It patrolled the Miocene oceans roughly 12 million years ago, with the arrogance of an emperor who knows the audit is never coming. It competed directly with the Megalodon, turning the ocean into a war zone of high-caliber organic weaponry. It likely used its massive spermaceti organ, the bulge in its forehead, not just for echolocation, but potentially as a battering ram to stun rivals. But while the Leviathan dominated by sheer mass and brute force, our next subject conquered the world by becoming its foundation, Jörmungandr. The Norse called it the world serpent, a snake large enough to encircle the earth and bite its own tail. We call it Regalicus glesne, the Oarfish. These shimmering ribbons of silver are the architects of the sea serpent panic. Growing up to 11 meters, longer than a city bus, they hang vertically in the water column, a plumbing line dropping into the abyss. They don't swim like fish, they undulate their dorsal fin, moving with a ghostly, rhythmic frequency that looks alien to the human eye. Their bodies are not covered in scales, but in fragile guanine crystals that rub off upon contact. When they surface, usually due to distress or seismic activity, they look like a glitch in the matrix, a seemingly endless reptile thrashing in the surf. It is a fragile giant, often engaging in autotomy, self-amputation, dropping its own tail to escape trouble. It breaks easily. But the next monster doesn't break. It waits for you to move in and pay rent. Aspidochelone. Sailors speak of the island turtle, a landmass that sinks the moment you light a fire on its back. This isn't folklore. It is a fraud scheme orchestrated by nature. Recent observations of Bruda's whales in the Gulf of Thailand reveal a behavior called trap feeding. The whale opens its mouth at the surface, creating a stagnant pool. Its jaw locks at a 90-degree angle, resembling a cave or a coral shelf. Fish jump in, thinking it's shelter from the chaos outside. The whale is a biological landlord, waiting for the tenants to fill the room before slamming the door. It relies on sensory hairs around the jaw to detect the density of the prey before snapping shut. It is the ultimate eviction notice. Digestion begins before you even realize you've been eaten. But while the turtle is a passive trap relying on patience, the next nightmare is an active grinder. Scylla. Homer described a 6-headed monster barking like a dog, ripping sailors from their decks. Strip away the poetry and you find a geological thresher. The Strait of Messina is a high-voltage channel of conflicting currents between Italy and Sicily. The barking heads, likely a colony of Mediterranean monk seals. Unlike the silent predators of the deep, these animals are vocal and their cries echo off the cavernous rocks like a pack of wolves in a tunnel. Combine the acoustic terror with jagged rock formations that tear hulls like wet paper, and you have a multi-headed beast made of stone and sound. In a storm, the spray mist creates the illusion of necks rising from the surf. It crushes you against the wall. But if you survive the rocks, the water itself opens up to swallow the evidence. Charybdis. Across from Scylla lies Charybdis, the mouth that drinks the tide. This is not an animal. It is a failure of the ocean's plumbing. It is a massive whirlpool caused by the collision of the Ionian and Tyrrhenian seas. In the ancient world, if a ship vanished without debris, they blamed a monster. In reality, it was hydrodynamics. Known today as the Garofalo currents, these vortexes are strong enough to pull a small vessel off course and capsize it. The physics involves a tidal phase shift. Essentially, the water has nowhere to go but down. It pulls a wooden hull down to the basement, crushing the pressurized air out of the lungs of the crew. It is the ocean's waste management system, flushing everything to the bottom. But while a whirlpool is mindless physics, the next legend has a brain and a grudge. Cetus. The monster sent to devour Andromeda wasn't just a quote-unquote whale. It was a tank with fins. Paleontology gives us Basilosaurus, a prehistoric whale that looked more like a giant eel with teeth. Despite its name meaning king lizard, it was a mammal, but a primitive one. It didn't have the blubber or the bulk of modern whales. It was lean, serpentine, and built for urban warfare in the shallow seas. The most damning evidence? It still possessed vestigial hind legs, tiny useless limbs that prove it walked off the land and chose violence in the water. It possessed a bite force capable of crushing turtle shells like cheap drywall. The Greeks didn't invent Cetus. They inherited the memory of a time when whales were the wolves of the water, hunting by sight rather than sound. But fossils are easy to explain. The final monster is the one that refuses to leave a paper trail. El Gran Maja. This is the phantom of the manifest. El Gran Maja represents the colossal biology we haven't taxed yet. We have explored less than 5% of the ocean's floor. We find new species of beaked whales every decade. The concept of a giant isn't a myth. It's a statistical probability waiting for verification. Deep sea gigantism is a documented phenomenon. Crabs, isopods, and squids grow to nightmare proportions in the cold, high-pressure depths. It is the unseen emperor of the deep, living in the shadow zones where sonar scatters and cameras fail. It doesn't need to be magic to kill you. It just needs to be hungry, large, and currently undocumented. The ocean doesn't hide secrets. It protects its assets.